What's up, everyone? This is Rattlehead coming at you guys with a brand new video. This time I'm doing another blog post style video, just sitting here with you guys and kind of sharing my thoughts about recent events regarding accessibility with what we did with Invincible Versus. So before I begin, I want to first of all say thanks to everyone who has hit the like button, who has shared it, and who spread the word on the official Discord for Invincible Versus as well. And obviously the main goal is for it to reach out to developers, but I definitely want to emphasize that the feedback that they're getting now, whether they see it or not, I mean, it's kind of, I guess, late at this point, right? Because this is something that should have been done during the development cycle, like how NetherRealm Studios did it. Shout outs to the MK crowd, and of course the sound team and UI team at NetherRealm Studios. And but basically, you know, this is something that they should have done before. But you know, the game's about to come out on April 30th, so it's probably out at the time you see this video. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts about that. Basically, you know, like I said, I just wanted to thank everyone for providing that support and for sharing it. You know, because like I said, the end goal is for it to reach out to the developers, no matter the views. And it's been a long time since I got that many views on this channel anyway. And which leads me into this interesting topic or situation that I came across. Well, not came across, but something that I posted on my social media, where I basically mentioned how I noticed that when we post things like just strictly fighting game matches, that it really doesn't get that many views. And unless you are involved in the FGC, like if you know what's going on with the games themselves. But what does get a lot of views, that generates more engagement as well, is discussing accessibility, videos, or whether it's tutorials or showcasing a potential accessibility, spreading ideas and all of that. Like this recent video with Invincible Versus was definitely an example of how people want to know more about it, I guess, right? And then people who are in the accessibility realm, right, they want to also kind of share their opinions about what their point of view is, their perspective about, oh, this is what will make it accessible for me, or whatever the case may be. And of course, since we primarily focus on fighting games on this channel, then we are able to kind of demonstrate that especially using Mortal Kombat 1 as a template. And Street Fighter 6 is there too, except that the only thing that's missing is a screen reader. But Mortal Kombat 1 has pretty much everything on it. But so I figured that is something that I probably want to do from now on, is maybe talk about accessibility games, accessible games that are out there, or games that could potentially be accessible. And so if anyone has a game that they want me to look into and we can review it on my channel, then absolutely, I think we'll be more than happy to review that. I did one, actually. Don't know if you guys remember Land of Livia. It was a mobile game, but I still got a chance to review it. And thanks to them, I got I got a code. I got to go in there and try it out. I already had fun. The funny thing is, I already finished it. I don't know what else to do in the game anymore. But it's there, and it's clearly it's accessible. So that was fun. And since then, I haven't done anything else. But if anybody wants to give me a game that they want me to showcase accessibility, how it could be playable, then absolutely. I will be honest though, I might not even end up playing it, but it's at least someone else may find out about it, right? Because there is other people who are doing that, and I figured that's something that I could try my hands on, to do more. And of course, I'll still upload my matches when I play online against other players and all that stuff. But what I wanted to do in addition to that is, I figured that another way to get more people and kind of know what's going on, I guess, especially new upcoming players, is to maybe kind of break it down. I can kind of break down, like, showcase what's going on during those fights. But also what I want to do is, I also want to share some of that knowledge with new players. We might keep in mind that a lot of people who are you know, as the life passes by, you know, there's a lot of people who are losing their vision too, and maybe we have some gamers out there, right? So how do we keep them, you know, I guess up to date with what's going on? But let's say if they still want to play a fighting game, how someone with sound is able to still do it, you know? But it would be cool too. What I was thinking to, you know, showcase, you know, if someone comes across a video, if they're hearing this like combo going on, or if they're hearing people like blocking each other, or they're hearing all these like, you know, bunch of sounds, which, you know, for a lot of people it could be a lot of nothing but just sounds everywhere. And so what I want to do is maybe showcase like, okay, so this is what's happening if you ever hear this or hear that, kind of get people familiar with the sound scheme of a fighting game, whatever in this game. Let's say we're doing Mortal Kombat 1 or Street Fighter, kind of get familiar, you know, with the sounds, and so people can follow along and they can comment about, oh, so I noticed this and this and that, right? But obviously people who are like familiar with fighting games, like a lot of fellow blind players out there who are, you know, like who we met through like Mortal Kombat, whether it's MK1 or MK11 or Street Fighter or anything like that, obviously they're going to be familiar with that. But, you know, if someone new comes across that footage, they can understand what's happening after they get that chance to be exposed to what these sounds mean. So that's something that I've been wanting to do, and everything. So who knows? Like I said, I mean, this Invincible Versus tutorial video definitely kind of put it into perspective. Like I said, I mean, even on that topic that I posted on my my social media, right? You know, people were commenting, you know, hey, you know, you know, people want to be more engaged. They want more information out there. You know, when they, you know, people look for videos, whether it's YouTube or anywhere else, like they like when, you know, people share kind of like knowledge, right? Like, hey, this is what's happening. I'm a blind player, but, you know, if you ever find yourself in that situation, here's one of the ways that you can do that. So, and maybe also, I would like to maybe record a video also kind of discussing the various games that are accessible for the blind, like making a maybe the top 10 most accessible games. I mean, these are just random ideas that are going through my head right now. But yeah, now as far as the accessibility, you know, state, like where we are right now, I do have some thoughts about that that I, you know, I wanted to share. My thing is, well, first of all, if you're on PC, you are gonna be in a good spot, because lately there's been this surge of accessible games with the use of AI sort of helping them code that accessibility mod, and then they're, you know, posting it, you know, right there into these games. Now, some of the games that are starting to be more accessible are Final Fantasy VI, Fallout 4, I think Fallout New Vegas, you know, all these different other games as well. There's even a Digimon game that is, you know, accessible now because of these modders who are taking the time to make games more accessible, right? So if you're on PC, you know, there's a potential of being of games being more accessible because of the ability to mod them. Not only that, but we know we recently showcased Mortal Kombat X, you know, that it's been worked on to have full screen reader software on it. And you know, obviously there won't be any additional like sound cues or any of that, but at least a screen reader would benefit the game a lot, you know. So as far as PC goes, it's in a good state, but where we are seeing a sort of like a halt, like it's just there, nothing's happening, or nothing major anyway, is on console, right? A lot of AAA titles that have been coming out, they do have some level of accessibility, but it's like, you know, color blindness, you know, subtitles, you know, more like, or even like adaptive controllers, you know, things like that. But something that is blind accessible, you know, I think the last major title was Spider-Man 2, and that's it, you know. And so my thing is this too, you know, and I do want to acknowledge the fact that, you know, first of all, you know, rest in peace, Brandon Cole. We definitely miss the presence that he had in the accessibility community. And, you know, as my thoughts on that are that ever since that happened, there is still this void that I don't think anyone has, you know, taken over yet. There are people who have the potential to do that, don't get me wrong, There's some great people out there, being accessibility consultants, or at least talking to developers, or being in conferences and all that kind of stuff. And but at the same time, right, there is no, the last collaboration that was done that was major was, I think, was Forza Motorsport, right? Or people can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but everybody's kind of been kind of doing their own thing, which is not a bad thing. But as far as like collaboration, there hasn't been as much. And I feel like these type of things work better when it's in numbers, right? Like, instead of just one person trying to do everything, collaborate. Heck, even Brandon and I collaborated on Mortal Kombat 1, right? And of course, The Last of Us had 3 people. The Last of Us 2 Part 2, so everything else has kind of been like on the people have kind of been on their own. Again, it's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong, but there's also this need for us to work with each other. I'm honestly just strictly into fighting games, so I feel like I don't necessarily have the experience for any other titles like that. I guess definitely checking out these, like I said before, getting hands on upcoming games, or whether even if it's an indie game, right? Give me a chance to like try it out and see how accessible it is, and get some ideas for AAA titles, right? The upcoming Marvel game, the Marvel's Wolverine is one of the games that is anticipated to have accessibility. Hopefully, if it's on par with Spider-Man 2, I think that will be awesome. But we don't know that, right? It's hard to know these things because there's there hasn't been any like major collaboration with all these accessibility consultants who do, again, who are doing their thing out there, which is awesome. But more collaboration will be great. But that's just my thoughts on that, right? I feel like accessibility is kind of stagnant right now for the blind, because it can be very complicated. Sometimes there are, some people think that just because you have all these different ideas that once, that it can be implemented in the game, but it really doesn't work like that, because you have to know, first of all, how the game works, how it plays, and accessibility has to be on that. I mean, there was a point in time where people would just say, well, make it accessible like The Last of Us. But the thing about The Last of Us is that the game allowed for that type of accessibility to be implemented, like the listen mode, right? Like the navigation as well. All of these features that the game had sort of lended itself really well to add blind accessibility, whereas a lot of games still have that challenge. Although, as PC modders have been showing, it can be done. I mean, Final Fantasy VI and Skyrim is another game that I forgot to mention. It's an open world game, and if you can make it accessible, it can be done. But the idea is like, we need developers to actually reach out to us like beforehand, right? During the development cycle, so that the accessibility is done during the development, not after, because a lot of the times it's done after the fact. I mean, look at Invincible Versus, right? We put this video together to give them some ideas, but it's definitely most likely not going to be implemented because it's late. Like, first of all, it's late, or it's after, so it makes it much more difficult for any accessibility to be implemented, after the fact. Everything has been coded, everything's already out there, and so now adding something new could probably mess with the original coding, right? But I mean, I'm not into that. Like, I don't know the logistics behind all of that. So that's just like an opinion from a consumer standpoint. But yeah, I feel like that's where accessibility is at this moment. But as long as we continue putting video out there, content, and all of that stuff, and a lot of people streaming, then definitely we need to continue spreading the word about blind accessibility or blind players, because there is a lot of people out there who still don't know. Every now and then, like, my channel gets that random viewer that stops by, and it's like, whoa, I didn't know this was a thing. Or of course you get your trolls too. Like, one time we did have one where they literally said something along the lines like, why are you still playing if you're blind? That doesn't work anymore, or like something like that. But it was like very troll-ish, and thankfully mods, took care of that immediately, kind of thing. But it's like, it makes me realize that we do get into a comfort zone where we feel like, oh, everybody's known. And I've known, I actually said it on stream one time, and I was like, oh man, playing blind is old news, and even some people were like, nah, dude, like, it's still like, a lot of people don't know it, and it's so true. So but yeah, but again, that's basically my thoughts on that. I feel like we're got a long way to go. I mean, we went from people, like a few of us out there back in like in the 2012, 11, 12, 13, so on, and then we got a lot of consultants out of that, right? But it took almost or at least 10 years, boom, then we get a accessible game like The Last of Us, and all of that. And of course, we had that period where a lot of games were coming out. Oh, there's this new game. Who has accessibility? There's this new game. Oh, it has blind accessibility, right? All the way to 2023 or 24. And then since then, everything kind of stopped. And a good example right now is Forza Horizon 6, right? It doesn't have like the full same accessible features like Forza Motorsport has. So, it's kind of like we always kind of go back a bit, but that's where we are right now. As far as like, again, my channel, like I said, my main thing is that I want to just do more content like that, where I can kind of showcase the things that are happening on screen to a fellow blind viewers as things are going, so they can get a better understanding and about these matches. Because in fighting games, the thing about fighting games is that things are happening so fast that for someone who maybe not be as invested as us, like it's just a bunch of noise, right? And so it'd be cool to kind of maybe talk about the basics. I definitely want to do more talking about introducing someone to a fighting game, but like at the very basic level, assuming that they don't know the FGC culture, right? Like what's a meaty, right? What's an overhead, like what's a trip guard, right? What's how do you look wave dashing, right? Or anti-airing somebody, or things like that, right? Or whiff punishing, right? Like moving around the stage. Because the one thing that I definitely noticed with new blind players that pick up a fighting game, what they'll do is they'll find oh, another thing, right? Normals. They don't know what normals mean, right? For fellow blind fighting game players, they know exactly what we're talking about, right? But some people may not know what that is. But what I've noticed too, like when someone starts picking up a fighting game for the first time as a blind player, what they'll do is they'll find on the normals, we call it, or like basic attacks like a punch or a kick that kind of helps them move forward in the screen, or we call it advancing normals is what we call those. And so they kind of depend on that, right? And so then they don't move around the stage like dashing or at least walking back and forth, right? Playing that footsie game, right? Or what they'll do too is they'll jump a lot, a lot of jumping. And so, but you could easily swipe them out of the air, if you're a high level player. So it would be cool to kind of talk about that, the importance of movement and kind of showcasing it on a real match and, things like that. Obviously I'm not an expert, like a top level player, even though people think I am a top level player, but I feel like those days are over. I'm just, playing fighting games for fun. I still like to attend local events, like, or offline events. Like this year, I'm going to Combo Breaker yet again because they're celebrating 15 years of NetherRealm Studios titles, right? So that's going to be fun to go play Mortal Kombat 9, MKX, and MK1. I don't know about MK11 though, because that's not really my cup of tea. I supported the game during its time, but it's not necessarily my favorite. But of course, MK9, MKX, and MK1, give me that all day. Injustice, I kind of like Injustice, but at a very casual level. But anyway, yeah, I think that'll be great. But yeah, with that said, I mean, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but if you made it all the way to the end, I do appreciate again everybody who supported the video, the Invincible Versus video. And and everything. So just some of the things that I want to do for my channel, because I know the thing about this too, and it happens several times, is that I would say, oh man, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then it doesn't happen, right? So it's like, why do you want to trust this guy, right? So because I mean, I'm involved with several things too. Obviously, this is not my full-time job. I'm not a content creator, like per se. I do this for fun on the side, just for kicks. And because I do, I'm grateful to have a day-to-day job that I do enjoy doing too. But I mean, it would be nice to do this full time, but I don't dedicate my time enough for it. So, and then of course, as some of you know, I'm also in a band, and every now and then we do go out and do shows, and we're starting to do more, short tours now. So we got that going on, and all of that stuff. So, anyway, with that said, guys, again, thank you so much for everything, for the views, for the comments with the Invincible Versus video, and that seemed to gather a lot of engagement, the likes and people sharing and all that good stuff. But anyway, with that said, thank you guys for making it this far and for always for supporting. And again, I'm always grateful for having the opportunity to meet a lot of cool people out there that I'm still friends with, online and all that cool stuff. So yeah, with that said, thank you guys. This has been Rattlehead with talking about my feelings and thoughts of the way accessibility is and all that, and what potentially I could do with my channel in the future. So with that said, thank you guys. You guys have a good one. This is Rattlehead signing out. Peace.